Hey, what's up everybody? This is a video about Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crushing It. And before I get to the book review, I just want to apologize for the bad audio. I was experimenting with the Rode Video Mic Me, and I was trying to use for the first time this Rode Video Mic Me, and apparently you have to have it on airplane mode, and so some of the sound quality is not so good. I apologize for that. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. Hey, what's up everybody? Today I'm doing a book review on Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk, and I just finished listening to it on my phone. I did a lot of times I'm listening to books that just save a lot of time, but I did it on Audible, and I had heard about this from this guy who does a lot of, I forgot who it was, but he does tons of books on audio, and then he listens to them at 3 times speed, which I thought that was actually crazy. So what I did was I did most of it at 1.25 times the speed, which that was actually not too bad. And then I wanted to do a good book review, so then I was listening to it again, and this time I went up to as high as 2. There's a little setting here. You can go and you can click right here and you can change the listening speed. So I went up to 2 and I just couldn't even handle it. But anyway, so Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. So Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm a fan of his, and I like the guy. He's a cool guy. I actually heard him speak last year, and I even met him. I got a chance to meet him and talk to him for not a long time, like 30 seconds.
I'm a beginner at this. I'm just trying to figure out what can I do with my medical career to
Tell the truth. Just tell them what you know. Speak about common things that you see.
That he just tells people what he knows. And that's all he does. He's telling people what he knows, and he scales it. And that was his advice for me. So you tell people what you know, and then you do it at massive scale. And that's really what he's doing. And he has a lot of the advice he has is about building a personal brand, and a lot of it is motivation. Basically what happens in the book is that Gary will take you through these personal stories, but he also kind of lays down the foundation of what's important to actually creating your business or your personal brand. And a lot of people, I think, at least someone like me, feels like, I don't really have a business. What I'm doing is I'm practicing medicine and I'm an employee. But I think it is important for people to have a personal brand, and you don't have to sell anything. You're just creating a reputation, and you do that on all of these social media sites. And so what he does is he'll tell you a little bit about creating a personal brand, and then also specific information on what each of these platforms is good for. So like YouTube, what YouTube is good for is that's more like long form content where people kind of they get to the end of the day and they're like, they want to learn something, or even in the middle of the day, they want to learn something or watch something interesting, and that's a more long, more polished video, and that's on YouTube. Instagram, very different. Those are like little snapshots of people's personal life. Then there's Snapchat, which I haven't really figured out yet, but that's the main point of that is to interact with people, and then you create a video that doesn't really have a lasting presence. So it's supposed to give people a chance to create a video that then they don't have to worry that it's out there. Then there's Twitter. Twitter's totally different, more written content. And what Twitter is it's the world's greatest cocktail party. And that's when you want to like really, interact. It's a conversation. It's not really about just posting. It is about posting things, but it's also really about having a conversation. So if you want to know what's going on, you want to interact with people, it's Twitter. Then there's Facebook, which I stopped using Facebook a couple years ago, and that's a little bit more. Facebook, Gary says, is extremely important because it's really like Facebook is kind of like the world's cheapest advertising, and so everybody should be having a Facebook or and Facebook allows you to do the video content, allows you to do long form like written content. It doesn't really have it accepts everything. I'm leaving probably some stuff out. There's TikTok, which he didn't mention in the book, but he talked about Musical.ly. Musical.ly is now taken over by TikTok by like much younger people. I really like this. I tried it out a little bit, and it's basically very, very short videos, and you can do a little bit of editing, and there's some interesting editing software. Anyway, this is where teenagers and even younger people are on TikTok. Okay, so what Gary does, I'm gonna have to go to my notes here, but he talks about what are the most important components of creating your brand. And I'm gonna just apologize here for reading, but I don't have all this memorized. So number one is intent. Okay, so like the whole purpose of being an entrepreneur, like what is your purpose? Do you want to teach, or you just want to make money? And there's a caution in this book, which is that you definitely do not want to make making money your primary purpose. People will sniff that out, and ultimately you won't go as far as if you had a different intent. All right. Authenticity, I think. So authenticity, pretty self-explanatory, but basically just being transparent about who you are. Okay. And I'll take this moment to say, who I am is I'm a doctor, but I also love making videos, and I wanted to take the opportunity to, do some more teaching, and I'm not really getting enough time I can't impact as many lives as I want. I can't impact as many students' lives as I want, but if I'm going to do a little bit of video and explain and try to document a little bit about what I'm going through as I add some of this into my career. You're supposed to try to do this in a way where you're unapologetically yourself and be yourself, and so that's important. Passion is very important. I mean, nobody wants to pay attention to someone who's not excited about what they're doing. So you got to be passionate. You got to have patience with this whole thing. I can't tell you how many times I have, for like 5 years now, I started a blog, and I've been working on my blog, and it just really hasn't gone anywhere, and it's been frustrating. Then I started a podcast, and I don't really have any followers for that. This is hard work. I have a YouTube channel, so you got to have patience with all of these things. Speed. He mentioned speed, which is confusing. You need to have. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I can't remember what the point is. You're waiting for the results, but then you also don't want to just like wait and sit around for everything to be perfect. And you got to just keep trying stuff. And so keep working with stuff. I think maybe that's what he meant by speed. Work. This is a tremendous amount of work. People who are entrepreneurs or have these great personal brands, they didn't just wake up one day and be famous and have 100,000 subscribers. And then finally attention, which is basically continuing to put attention on to what's working and what's not working, and try to keep up. A couple of little tidbits that I got from the book that really resonated with me, which was I have been trying to figure out like what exactly I wanted to make videos about and podcast about for a long time. And I have so many different interests. I like to ski. I'm a pediatric anesthesiologist, but I have a family. I like to rock climb. I do triathlons. I like making videos. I like to kite surf. I surf. I love to travel. I love foreign languages. There's too much stuff. And one of the things that has been important to me is to try to figure out, I would like to get more into this space of creating my own personal brand and speaking more and maybe being an entrepreneur, which I'm not. I don't know a whole lot about it. But Gary says in the book you don't have to be the expert. And just say you're not the expert. Just document what you're doing as you're learning. So right now I'm learning about video and learning about vlogs and how to, create content. So it's okay to do stuff. It's okay if you're one step ahead of most of the audience. Like people can learn from you. It's kind of like there's an analogy of someone, let's say you have a great teacher, and then you just don't get something, and then you ask the person next to you in class, and they've got it. They're only one step ahead of you. They can break it down. And so for some content creators, it's okay to not really you don't have to be an expert, but just be transparent about that, and then document the process. Document, like I have a friend who's documenting his process of becoming more fit, and I think that's really cool. And I love his honesty and humility with his content, and he's just saying, this is what I'm learning, this is what I'm doing. So that was something that really resonated with me. Let's see, I'm gonna go back to my notes here, apologize. A lot of these people that have done something successful, it's not necessarily about that first thing that you hear, like this guy Gary Vaynerchuk, the author of the book, for example. He started off in wine, and he's a great businessman, but he's also about trying to help other people achieve a life for themselves and create a brand. So it's not just about, like, let's say you're doing a wine blog. Well, it's just not just about a wine blog. It's also about showing people how to build influence. Rich Roll, for example, he's showing people how to build influence, live a healthy life, and his podcast is, so there's a lot of different things that your content can do. It doesn't have to be like that, whatever that, the title or there's a lot more that you add to it. Probably one of the most important things I learned from Gary, and he does say this in the book, but you have to care a lot about people. You got to care, and you got to be able to give. And his motto is always give, and then ask for something. You want to put your stuff out there for free, and just keep putting it out there for free. And I remember his very first line at the Vid Summit, his keynote speech at Vid Summit was, I have never, ever seen so much selfishness, where people are always like, how do I get 100,000 subscribers? How do we get all these likes? How do I do this? And he's just like, did it ever occur to you that's just not the way it works? Well, the way it works is it's not how do I get, but it's like, how do I give? How do I help you? And that was the atmosphere that they created at this conference, by the way. I mentioned Vid Summit. It's a conference for entrepreneurs, creators, and YouTubers, and which is really funny, actually, by the way, how I wound up going to this, because I'm a doctor, and usually I go to these medical conferences, but I just wanted to go to something different, and it was awesome. But I learned a lot. It's basically about how, I was meeting people, and people were leading with, how can I help you? Like, I want to help you with your, it was more like, I felt like I had always kind of been, how do I get that? Or how do I work with you? Or how do I do this? But now it's like, hey, I want to help promote you, or I want to help you. And so Gary Vaynerchuk says that is really the name of the game. Is like, you lead with how I can add value. Now, okay, so tying into that thought let me break it down to what he does with Instagram. So most people do Instagram like totally wrong, including myself. I don't know how to do Instagram. But what Gary would do with Instagram is every single Insta post, every Facebook post, every snap, what he does is he would leave people with something valuable. If he doesn't, he says it's narcissistic. And I'm not saying that we're all narcissistic. We like to share like bits and pieces of our life, like that's what we do. But but he's taking it a step further, and what he's saying is, so like, it's not about just putting a post of your picture of coffee. It's like, this is my coffee, and I add cinnamon and turmeric to it. Cinnamon helps regulate blood pressure, and the turmeric is for the inflammation. So for example, I put turmeric in my coffee. It's for the inflammation, because I do a lot of exercising, and I'm sick of having sore joints. So I do a lot of neat stuff where I use these foods to decrease inflammation. So yeah, so what Gary does is he takes the picture. He has the picture of the coffee, and then it's like, here's my coffee. I add turmeric to it. Then he has a picture of where he got the coffee. Then he has a picture of his workout place where he does this freezing, and he's like, here are the benefits of this like cryotherapy. Here's where I do it. So he's putting the pictures up, but he's leaving people with things. I'll just leave it with this because I gotta go. I'm like running late, and this video became way too long. be authentic, be unapologetically yourself, and you care about your audience first. So be who you are, don't be sorry about it, and care about the people who you make a video for. Care about the people first, and the people that like are your fans and like and comment your things. So that's it. Thank you. Well guys, that's the video. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked it, please like or subscribe.